Thanks to those joining me live, to those that will be joining me on archive. This is D-Style Boxing. I'm being joined by the panel of the day. This is the 98th edition of the Round Table. Just 2 weeks away from the big 100. I have a surprise on that day. So everybody make sure you stay tuned for that one. I'm being joined by Joe Habib from Ringside Reporter. Sasha from Women's Fight News. How are you doing? Lady Chan, the one and the only, joining us today as well. And Boxing and Basketball, a.k.a. formerly known as Boxing Socialist, Sean. How you doing, brother?
Oh, man, we're doing great, man. I appreciate you adding me to the show, man.
Absolutely. We haven't talked like in 12 years. It's crazy. All right, shout out to the chat. Make sure you hit the like button as you come in. I actually want to start. I was going to start with another topic, but I want to start with this one because it's the news of the day, and I want to check everybody's temperature. You know what I mean? Coppinger reported, all right, that it is imminent that both Crawford and Spence have agreed in principle, and it's all but done, right? And we're ready to rock. Lady Chan, start us off with this one. Do you believe the news or excited about it? Where do you stand?
Hang on. Can you guys hear me? I feel like I'm
loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Good. No. Everybody's doing live streams and getting excited over an unsigned contract. They've been saying the same thing for ages. Now they're just saying that, the terms are agreed. So it's nothing changed. I won't be reporting it. That's why I haven't reported it. No. Yes. Let us know when it's announced.
So you're saying it's cap?
I'm not saying it's cap. Like maybe they have agreed terms. I see it two ways. Maybe they've agreed terms for real, but so what? It's like they're not agreed enough that that they're going to sign a contract. We need the contract signed for those agreed terms, or maybe they're just doing this to fuel something. They realize that there's a lot of dwindling interest in the fight, and they're trying to keep us still abreast of it.
Before I go to Sasha, I want to ask you this, Lechan. Do you think that maybe they're just putting it out there because they're going to announce it on the big fight weekend? You know, try to steal some thunder from Canelo, Triple G?
Nah, I just don't believe it now. So.
Man. All right. Is your name Debbie? Like Debbie Downer over here? What's going on?
No, I just don't believe it. We've been duped too many times, T-Star. So, you know. Okay.
All right. Well, let's see if Sasha feels any different. Sasha, you heard the news. It's everywhere. Everybody's talking about they're doing. I seen a stream. They've been talking about it for 8 hours already. They've been talking like that's how excited they are. Do you believe it? Like, where do you stand with it?
No, I don't believe it at all. Not a chance. And I just feel like it's going to be a bit like Kell Brook and Mia Khan, where we're going to see it in 10 years' time when no one wants to see it, but we'll also pay to see it, but no one wants to see it. But yeah, no, don't see it happening. Like, like Lady Chan just said, it can all be agreed. Everyone can agree on terms, but until that contract's signed, it means nothing. And how many times do we hear that fights are agreed? That's so easy to say and do, but until them contracts are out, that's when everyone gets a little bit fussy and starts changing their minds, and it just doesn't happen. So, unfortunately, no, I don't see it happening.
All right. Joe Habib, bring some sense. Do you believe this is going to happen?
Zero chance.
Oh, come on.
Zero chance. Usually the most optimistic person when it comes to these things, but zero chance. 9 weeks, the fight's going to happen. I mean, Terrence Crawford's out there, like, kind of doing all these interviews. He's like going on all these podcasts and stuff. He doesn't seem like he's locked in for a fight right now. He's got everything else going on in his mind. So, no, I don't think this fight's happening. Not this year. Probably not ever. Fight may never happen.
What does Coppinger mean when Coppinger says it's all but done? It's imminent. They've agreed in principle. I mean,
it's called clickbait.
Okay.
What else does this guy do? When you have fighters come out and say that he'll report on something, and the fighter that he's reporting on will come out and say that, literally call the guy a liar. promoters call him a liar. You know, other journalists say he's fast and loose with stuff. I've never put much stock into this guy. He's been wrong at least about 70% of the time when he releases stuff. So I don't believe him.
Sean, talk to us, brother. Do you feel different? Are you optimistic that they're going to announce this fight this weekend, like some people are anticipating?
First of all, let me say hi to Lady Chan. I said hi to everybody, and now I see you on here. Good to meet you. How can I put this? So, I'm right here in Texas, in Houston, right? So I know a lot of people in the camps here. And first of all, the 9 weeks, 8 weeks to go, these guys start training about 4 weeks ago, because there was already talks going on between that. And that's why they started training 4 weeks ago. They're really going to have 12 weeks, believe it or not. But from what I'm hearing, about a couple of weeks ago, it was pretty much a done deal, but it was just a couple of tweaks here and there in the contracts, money, pay-per-view, share and all that. I think it's going to happen. I'm hearing that it's going to happen a couple of weeks ago from people in the camps. I don't know. The last couple of weeks, I just been looking at people like, not yet. It's too early right now. But I think it's actually going to be a done deal. And like I said, these guys started training 4 weeks ago. Trust me, they're going to have a 12-week full camp by the time November comes.
Okay, all right. I hear what everybody's saying, and look, I'm not like saying that Coppinger's word's gospel or anything like that, but something just feels different about this one. I have to be honest. Like there's something different about this announcement. It just feels different. Everybody's acting different. People are acting like it's already official. Like, and I think that energy, the universe is giving us this energy, and I think it's going to happen. Like I think it's going to be announced this weekend. I think we're gonna hear that Errol Spence will be facing Terrence Crawford for the undisputed welterweight championship of the world. And I think it's going to happen. It just feels different. I got a feeling. You know what I mean, Lady Chan? I got a feeling. I got a feel. I do.
Oh, well, I'm glad you've got that feeling, because I ain't got it yet.
There's nothing. None of you felt that? Like it didn't.
No.
The universe didn't talk to you?
No.
Man. Well,
D-Style, I do have it. Can I ask you a question now?
Sure.
The last couple fights with Errol Spence, and maybe it's just me, and I want y'all opinion. I've been hearing people saying, ever since the car accident, Errol doesn't look the same. He lost a step. He doesn't do this and that. And I just keep watching the last couple fights, and I'm like, I don't see where he lost anything. If anything, he looks just as good or a little bit better. And I'm like, what are these people seeing that I don't see? And I used to box, and I used to fight all overseas. And I'm like, man, I just don't see it. I mean, do y'all see where Errol has lost his step and doesn't look the same? Because I haven't. I just want y'all opinion.
We'll go around the panel. Lady Chan, do you see any difference in Spence?
Not really. Not really, to be honest. Not really. I think he was a little bit shaky. I was a bit shocked to see that Ugas, not as a big puncher, kind of got him in serious trouble. So maybe if I look at it in that's a bit shocking. But maybe that was down to ring rust. So your punch resistance may need to be built up again. But not really. I think he looks all right.
Okay, all right. Sasha?
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Where I think he's got a little bit better, if anything. I think even like mentally as well, it's like it's put things in perspective a little bit. And I thought he looks mentally a little bit, probably tougher. But I definitely wouldn't say he's lost a step at all. But to be fair, I'd not heard anyone say that. But his last few performances, I think he's done what he's needed to do. I think sometimes people always expect everyone to go above and beyond, and he's done exactly what he's needed to do to get them wins, and that's all he needs to do. At the end of the day, he's got the win, he's got paid, and then he goes home.
Joe Beeb, does this look like a guy that's a fraction of himself, or is his real self?
Well, when we used to see him at events, when he'd go to fights and he'd be interviewed by like people and be taking pictures with fans and stuff, and you'd hear him talk, it kind of looked like he was buzzed a lot and he was slurring his words. It looked like he had a few, right? But I think he's changed his lifestyle a lot. I think he's cut back with the drinking. If probably may have even stopped altogether. He moved out. He got a ranch now. So he's away from like the city and the fast life. So I think he's changed his life. But I will say this: in a Danny Garcia fight, and even in the Ugas fight, and I think Lady Chan mentioned it, he got buzzed in the Ugas fight. There seems to be like a little mental lapse, you know, in certain spots, like a little bit of maybe a mental letdown or a complacency there, because Ugas really stunned him in that. I think it was the 5th round in that fight, and I thought he was going to go in for the kill. I thought he was in trouble for whatever reason. He didn't go in for the kill, or maybe Errol Spence recovered. Could have been a combination of both, but he's still a great fighter. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's that Errol Spence that we saw versus Kell Brook. I think that he's just maybe lost a tad bit.
Okay.
And B, check this out. What you said, and I think Lady Chan or Sasha, one of y'all said, we've seen Errol Spence get buzzed with lesser opponents in his career, right? That's not to say he can't take a shot, but he's been buzzed before. Now he's getting buzzed by somebody like, like Ugas, which is a really good fighter, can punch into aqua fight for anybody. And just like Terrence has been buzzed before. So I don't know, man. It's going to be a good fight.
There's a difference between buzzed and getting knocked on the other side of the ring, mate. He wasn't
buzzed. He was hurt. He was rattled. His legs were buzzed.
And then Crawford like that before.
Was he rattled though? Like, I don't know if I'll say rattled, but he was.
I'll say rattled. He went back into the ropes.
Yeah. He was
could have been a knockdown.
Lady Chan and B. I mean, look. I mean, this against Ugas. It's not like Ugas is a soft puncher.
Ugas is a puncher. He's not known as a massive puncher in his division. He's just not.
But he gave Sean Porter hell.
Yeah, I know, but that's because he's Cuban.
He never really hurt Sean Porter though.
He's a good boxer, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good boxer, but he never hurt Sean Porter.
Well, just to give my take on it, like I think Spence, at least X's and O's, still looks the same to me. Like I had questions going into the Garcia fight. I flat out said I don't know, but Garcia hit him with some clean hooks and he took them just fine. You know what I mean? So that's what I said. But real quick, before I let you go, but Lisa Bales, I appreciate it. Says D-Style Boxing and Panel. And as Lady Chan said in the chat, everybody make sure you hit the like button. All right? Go ahead, babe.
I'm not trying to nitpick here, but he made a rookie mistake in the fight that someone with his experience shouldn't have made, and even admitted it after the fight, where he got his mouthpiece knocked out, and then he stops, and then he looks away, he looks at the ref, and takes his eye off his opponent. I mean, those are things like you just don't do. You're supposed to be mentally locked in there, and even he said himself. So maybe I'm nitpicking, but I don't know. The Errol Spence that fought Kell Brook didn't do those things. He did it, kind of did it in the Danny Garcia fight too. He got his mouthpiece knocked out, and he kind of stopped and looked away, and you know what I mean. So I don't know. Doesn't maybe a little bit complacent, maybe not totally 100% locked in like he was before.
Well, look, once this fight gets announced this weekend, because it's Canelo fight week, it's the time to announce it. Once they announce it, we'll do another roundtable and we'll break it down. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna announce this thing. I'm just saying.
And he's 32 years old too. So, he's probably peaked. So there's nowhere I don't think he's going to get better. This may be the turning point,
Yeah. I hear you. But look, last weekend, man, what a great night of fights over there. And actually, no, we didn't get the fights. They didn't happen actually. But I just want your guys' general thoughts on Shields Marshall. Like, how are you feeling now? Like 5 days out after it's happened, or not happened, I should say, because of the Queen's passing, and how and I'm glad we have two. we have two ladies here from the UK to give us a UK perspective. So let's start with Sasha. What did you make? Like, what's your opinion about it all, pretty much?
I think it's difficult, really. I think as soon as the Queen passed, that you knew it was going to be cancelled. The fact that people thought it wasn't.
I wish you were here to tell Beeb that, because he was convinced it wasn't going to get cancelled.
No, it's always going to be cancelled. I think the fact that it was in London was one of the main reasons, I believe, because the police, and it becomes bigger than boxing at the end of the day. Safety, transport, all of that, it was going to be cancelled. But it's devastating for the fighters. I think it will change people's opinions on who is going to win going into the if it happens October 15th. I know there's an issue with Clarissa Shields' MMA contract at the minute, but if it happens October 15th, I think it could possibly sway people's opinion, at least on the two main fights of who could win. But it's a shame, and especially for the other girls on the undercard who are starting out prospects financially. This is a massive hit for them all. So your heart has to go out to them, but it was always going to be cancelled. And I think even though they've taken obviously a bit of backlash, I think they would have had more backlash keeping the event on than cancelling it. So I think it was probably the right call. But I just hope it happens October 15th. But obviously it all depends on what happens with Clarissa Shields now. It's all down to her.
Oh, so you're saying it might not happen? Like, I thought it was a lock that it was going to happen.
No, so it's something to do with, because she was scheduled to fight in MMA in November, I believe. There seems that's the only snag and why. So the venue's all confirmed, everything else, but that's the issue. But her manager's come out and said that he's hoping to be able to rectify that as quick as possible. So the work in that, it will be the October 15th, but it all then depends on her MMA contract and if they'll sway at all with her next fight date.
MMA, shmMMA. We need to, not a word, we'll see, though. Lady Chan, what was your thought about all this?
It's the same. We knew it's raw protocol. We live in England. Like, people that are not from here don't get it. This is a current existing active reigning monarchy. It trumps everything. That's just it. They've been rehearsing for a good few years how the protocol and the rollout was gonna happen. So it was just like, when I heard that the fights was possibly gonna happen, I thought, that's strange. Did I want the fights to happen? Hell yeah, of course I did. But I mean, I understood why it wasn't, and everybody else was like, oh, but why? I was getting, from you Americans coming at me, like, no. It's like, you won't get it unless you're from the UK. It's just the culture. It's a part of our country, and it is just what it is. Okay. We kind of just got over it. Like, you guys are still trying to come to terms. We already got over it already.
You don't understand, D-Style. You don't get the culture, bro.
We're going to get to you, Beeb, in a little bit, but Karma Services, saludo, mi hermano D-Style. Happy Thursday to everybody. Shout out to Karma Serene. Shout out to Marion Brown in the chat as well. Shout out to all you guys, by the way. Sean, what did you make about it? I mean, when this got canceled?
Listen, I hardly ever really care for Clarissa Shields fights, but I was interested in this one only because I just want to see their rematch from the amateurs, and then two, I want to see was her power real, because she was like 12-0 with 10 knockouts. I just want to see what she can do against Clarissa, because Clarissa's touched the deck already, right? But also in Sasha, I from what I heard, I'm hearing that the undercard fighters, I'm hearing that they're getting an advance right now to hold them off until the 15th. So all the people on the lower cards are getting an advance, and all the tickets have been transferred over to the 15th. The only thing, of course, they couldn't for those that were traveling as far as air flights. And I heard that they're even working out a deal with the hotels to give them even a break when they come back. But they
are getting an advance, but it doesn't cover the next camp, though. They're still just getting the same pair, so they're just getting an advance on that pair, but now they've got to cover another 5, 6, 7 weeks of camp. So I know when I've spoken to a few, financially it's still I know they've
Yeah.
obviously got money to go home with, but I think it's a super, because some of them, you know, they're not getting paid a lot at all to
Yeah.
barely cover the first camp.
Right. And Sasha, I'm actually happy that they're getting events. You know how many promoters that won't do that?
Yeah.
They just won't.
Yeah.
So I'm actually happy they're getting events. But this is one of the first, besides Amanda Serrano fight.
Yeah.
This right here is going to be a fight that I'm looking forward to.
Jake Paul did an advance as well for
Jake Paul
as well for his fights. Yeah.
Okay. Lady Chan, that's what's blowing my mind is that somebody like Jake Paul, a YouTuber, is taking better care of fighters than these promoters that's been around 20, 30, 40 years. I'm just shaking my head. Like, I don't care for YouTube fighters. I don't watch it, but I have to give that man respect for what he's doing for boxing.
Yeah.
He did a lot for Serrano for sure. Beeb. So you see, Beeb says he's the adopted son of the UK and he knows everything about the UK. But last week he was like, they're not going to cancel the event.
Oh,
like,
we're not going to cancel. I knew 100% they were going to cancel. That's
not. We'll go roll back the tape.
How were they going to look if all the other sports canceled?
Like last week, the whole chat said, hey, the Queen died. Are they going to do the fights? And Beeb's like, guys, they're not going to cancel the event.
Did you say that?
Back up. He's slandering me right now. He's slandering me.
Like I'm just saying, like remember that movie Fun with Dick and Jane when Jim Carrey is saying everything's fine and the stock market's crashing? That was Joe Beeb last week saying, no, the event's gonna go on and they're canceling it in the background. But go ahead, Beeb. What's your thoughts on it though?
Well, they had to cancel because all the other sports were canceling, and if they couldn't have been the only one going. Didn't they still have the cricket though, Lady Chan? They have the cricket.
I don't know. Did they, Sasha?
Yeah, they still had cricket on. I think it was only the cricket that they ended up doing, though. That
was the only thing they ended up doing was the cricket.
Wow.
So they wouldn't have been able to go on. They wouldn't have been able to go on. It would have been like Lady Chan and I think Sasha said, it would have been more backlash if they went on. So it's better that they didn't go on. The only bad part about it is, from what I heard too, is a lot of the undercard fighters, they actually work real jobs, so they had to take time off from work. So they lost their time from work. So now they got to take more time off from work. I don't know if they have the time, whatever. But I just feel bad for like the undercard fighters because they lost money and it's going to be hard for them to recoup even with the advance. They're still going to, like Sasha said, they're going to have to go through the whole thing again. It's going to cost more money again. You're going to have to, travel again. I don't see this benefiting anybody in terms of the fighters. I think all the fighters, because once again, when you're in a training camp, and you know this, Sean, you go up and you peak, and then you kind of work your way back down, right?
Right.
So now you're going to recalibrate that. Now you got to go back up. It's like a roller coaster ride that these fighters have to go through, and it's not just physical; it's emotional too, right?
Right.
So
right.
I don't think this is going to help any of the fighters. I don't think this is going to. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, well, this is going to hurt Clarissa Shields and it's going to help Savannah Marshall." No, I think it's going to hurt. I think it's going to have an impact on all the fighters, and hopefully, they'll be able to work it out. But October 15th that's another 4 weeks that they got to go through the whole thing again. It's Sometimes, and you know this as well too, Sean. If the training camp is too long, you're training too much, you're going to burn yourself out.
Yeah, you're going to burn yourself out. Yeah. It definitely comes down to your trainer and how much your trainer scales back. Sasha and Lady Chan, I was going to, or D-Style, was this event sold out? What was the ticket sales like?
I think they sold 15,000 out of the 17,000.
And what was the average? Would you say the average ticket cost?
About £30.
And how much of that is US dollars?
$50.
Yeah, because they might have sold out because like a lot of tickets sell like last minute. You know what I mean? So
I think they would have sold
out. A lot of people are last minute buyers. You know what I mean? But I'll say this: look, I have a lot of respect for Sasha and Lady Chan. So forgive me for what I'm about to say. Okay.
What are you going to say?
So
don't do
it. All I'm going to say is this. I don't get it. Like I don't relate. I don't understand it. I don't understand why life stops. I just don't, right? And I'm just being honest. But that's all I'll say. But Joe Beebs, what are you doing?
The same happened in Dubai, though. I think it was Dubai. where they had like a 4-week mourning period. Boxing was cancelled, everything else was cancelled. It's always going to happen.
Mayweather's exhibition.
Yes.
That was postponed too.
King Abdullah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was Floyd's exhibition, right? That's the one.
When Ronald Reagan croaked, like we didn't stop anything. We just kept rolling.
Yeah, but Ronald Reagan wasn't serving at the time when he died.
And what the Queen represents.
So if you guys check your protocol, if you've got a current president that dies, you get locked down as well. You follow a certain protocol as well. It's not as extensive as with the Queen, but there is like certain things.
Like John F. Kennedy was shot in the head, right?
Yeah. And the world went into
events were not canceled for a month because he was assassinated.
Please don't.
I remember saying cancelled for a month. It was just for a week. It was just for that day. For that
10
day.
days.
I saw a sign. I saw a sign that they wouldn't let.
Style.
Like they had a sign that they wouldn't let people like put their bikes in chains because the Queen died.
What do you mean if they put their bikes?
I saw like a picture. It was like I guess people weren't allowed to skateboard or something like that or some stuff.
No, you're just making that up.
No, like I saw something like that on Twitter. I'll bring it up.
You got it wrong. We are allowed.
We are living a normal life in the UK at the minute.
Where did you get that from?
Hey, Sasha and Lady Chan. Well, real quick question. What time is it over there for y'all?
Too late. O'clock.
Well, 1:30 a.m. But check it out.
Too late.
Now, B, you already touched on it.
You listen to this malarkey from this guy over here.
But here's what I want to ask though. Like, look, is this gonna like Beeb? You kind of answered it. Sasha, do you think this favors anybody? Do you think, like somebody like, let's say, Michaela Mayer, who's kind of big for that weight class, is going to have to do a cut again? Do you think that can kind of impact her a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's, all fighters are going to struggle, but definitely prior to this happening, I had Michaela Mayer winning. When you see her in fight week, you can tell that she is coming to the last time she can make this weight safely. I even think it was a bit of a push this time when you look at her. She's made it very clear that this is the last year she can fight at super featherweight. I think she's really going to struggle. And it's definitely more of Alicia Baumgardner's natural weight compared to Mayer, who could probably move up quite comfortably to like super welterweight. So I think that makes that fight a bit more interesting and possibly a bit more 50-50. Shields and Marshall, I don't know. I was quite surprised to hear that Marshall couldn't eat like 26 hours prior to weigh-in. This is supposed to be Marshall. Yeah, that made me question her camp massively. This is Marshall's natural weight. She should not be in that situation at all, where she's not eating over 26 hours prior to weigh-in. That definitely makes me question her camp and why she's put herself in that position. So I favoured Clarissa going into it anyway. I still favour her with that one. But I think it's the Michaela Mayer. I think, it can become quite dangerous if she's having to keep at such a low weight for an even longer period of time. And it's clearly not comfortable for her. I think it'll massively impact her. And we could see, Alicia Baumgardner kind of rose to where she is with the Terry Harper fight. And that was the same situation. Terry Harper was so drained. We saw what happened. I think it could be a repeat of that situation with Mayer.
And keep in mind, Marshall and Shields both were super middleweights at one point.
Yeah.
And I gotta ask you this, Sasha. Do you think that was appropriate though for Peter Fury to even release that information? That he should have probably kept that under wraps. I don't think that's something you want to put out there.
Peter Fury, I think, has done that a lot through this. He has said comments, and I think if that was my trainer, I would go mad. When the fight was announced, he made a comment about, well, if we lose, we'll do the rematch in America. That was my trainer talking in a press conference about if I lose, I would have serious questions going into my camp. Announcing that I hadn't eaten in 26 hours. No one needs to know that. No one should know that.
Well said.
And Savannah's tweet after, it was something along the lines like, when it rains, it pours. And I can't remember the full tweet, but I was a bit like taken aback by that. And I thought mentally, you could see she was in a very different place to Clarissa, who took it on the chin, accepted the fact that she has to come back. And bearing in mind, it's harder for Clarissa because she's flying back home. She's got to fly back to London. She already come to London about 2 weeks early. So it was very all negative, in my opinion, from the Marshall camp. So that doesn't bode well in her favour.
Lady Chan, do you think anybody specifically is going to be impacted more by this?
Yeah, I was of the thought process that it would affect Marshall. Because I didn't know she fought. I thought she skipped 168. I know she's fought as high as 175. I thought she skipped 68 and just went to 60. I know that she does walk around. That she said she has walked around at 190. So I know this is a massive, massive weight cut for her. Anyway, you know, nearly being 6 foot tall. She's a big girl. So I knew once I heard the 24 hours. Oh, she starved herself for 24 hours. I was like, yeah, well, this isn't going to fare well for her now, because that shows that she's finding it hard to make weight. And then I wasn't of the knowledge that Maya was such a big girl for the weight. I know she's tall, she's quite rangy and that type of vibe, but I always saw her as quite thin. But I didn't know until I saw shouts out to Baumgardner. Till I saw Baumgardner's tweet saying, what did she say again? She said something like, got to make weight again, like good luck making weight again, like bitch or something like that again. And I was like, so there's a problem there then. I think it doesn't do well for Savannah Marshall the most. And also with Peter Fury, he's always quite an open book, but sometimes you can be a bit too open. And, he might be playing that card where he plays it like, oh, we're really not doing too great, to kind of mind fuck the other side to make them have that false sense of the full sense of, what's the word that they've got their
false sense of security.
Sense of security. There you go, Beeb. Thank you. Yeah, full sense of security, I think. But but if Savannah Marshall, Sasha's saying Savannah Marshall, I didn't see the tweet saying when it rains it pours. That means there's been a load of shit that's just happening, and this is just the icing on the cake now. So yeah,
absolutely. Sean, do you think do you agree that Savannah Marshall's going to have a harder time than Shields, or do you think they're both kind of in the same boat? You've been there before. You've had to make weight before. If you were told, hey, never mind, we're going to postpone it. Oh, you're muted, brother.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Man, the one thing I hate about fighting in the amateurs and having to make weight is that you have to weigh in like 7 or 8 o'clock that morning, and you might be the first fight at like 11 o'clock. So that sucks. I wish we could weigh in the day before and rehydrate, eat what you want, and then fight the next day. But I didn't have that luxury. But it hurts both fighters. Both fighters have to make weight. I think it's going to be hard for both of them. I think it is. But because of the amount of money that's on the line and the seriousness of this fight, I really think they're going to try their best to stay disciplined, for these next few weeks, only because the amount of money's online. Now, if this wasn't a big fight, they're like, hey, I'm going to come in a couple pounds, well, no, they can't even do that because it would have been for a championship fight. So they couldn't even do that. Yeah, it's going to be hard for both of them and even Clarissa. So I don't think nobody's really at the advantage here.
Yeah, for sure. Joe Habib, any change of heart? You still feel the same way? It's going to affect everybody?
I just think it's going to affect both of them, to be honest.
Okay.
With you. Both big women. They're both big women. They're both, Clarissa Shields is very muscular. Savannah Marshall's got a big frame.
Gotcha.
It's going to be a problem for both of them.
Yeah, I think what's going to impact a lot, I believe, is Michaela Mayer, I think. Mayer's somebody that Brackus just, when she met Mayer, was like, whoa, you're bigger than I thought. You know what I mean? So Mayer could fight a welterweight, in my opinion. So she's got the frame for it. So we'll see if it makes a difference or not, but something to consider moving forward. Staying in the UK, so Eubank Sr. supposedly, although Eddie Hearn is saying it was never said, Eddie Hearn came out and said, look, this fight's still on. Wherever the rumors came from, it doesn't matter. The fight's on, right? So the fight's still going to happen. And so here's my question, though, because he said something specific. He said the one with a massive disadvantage is Conor Benn, because he's the one going all the way to 157, and Eubank just has to drop a couple pounds, you know. So who is the one really at a disadvantage in this fight? Lady Chan, start with you.
Definitely Chris Eubank Jr. because I've been battling with a couple people on Instagram about, you know, walking around weight, and they're like, no. But I did learn that he absolutely does, well, according to him, walks around very close to his fight weight. I thought I would have just assumed that most fighters, you know, if you're really disciplined, you walk around maybe within 15 pounds within, you know, at your fight weight. But I always had it in my mind that he walked around probably about 180, but I was told that he walks around like within 5 to 8 pounds of his fight weight. So saying that, it looks like he will eat into a percentage of muscle for him to make that weight, because then he has to, then the rehydration clause. Whereas Conor Benn, he is the shorter guy, but I mean, he even has to drain himself to a degree to make 147, by the way. So he has to only cut not that much weight, to be honest. Conor Benn probably does walk around at probably about 160. So for him to, you know, come in, he'll probably come in a little bit under. So when he rehydrates, he'll be able to rehydrate really fully. And yeah, Chris Eubank Jr. is going to be at a deficit. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't call out people that are, you know, not in your weight division, and maybe try and fight some champions at 160. So I don't really have that much pity.
All right. Sean, who's at a disadvantage here at this catchweight of 157?
The person that's always at a disadvantage is the one that has to lose the weight. Always. I mean, just about all my friends, even when I fought, all my friends, you're going to weigh 20 to 25 pounds, your normal walking around weight. I mean, I had to go from like 165 down to 140 to fight, right? So, and let me tell you something. I actually fought a guy that was smaller than me. It came up in weight, and he gave me hell, right? So, and then when I watch fights like, you take Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, right? There's a weight advance, right? Because, you know, these guys are coming down. And let me tell you the reason. For those that don't know, the reason why we come down in weight so much is because we think we can bring all that power and strength with us. But sometimes it backfires on you. You know, all that power and strength means nothing if you got a guy that's skilled and faster than you. I mean, you'll get knotted up real quick. And not only that, your eyes will black and get damaged more and swell when you lose weight like that. So in this particular fight, you know, Eubank is at the disadvantage, but it comes down to the skill level of Conor Benn. If Conor Benn has a skill level, you know, even though he's coming up, if this guy really has the skills, he'll beat Eubanks. He'll beat him if he has the skills for it, and it won't matter at the weight of this. Actually, Eubanks going to be at the disadvantage.
Okay, Sasha, do you agree with the panel so far? Do you agree with Eddie Hearn?
No, I agree with the panel. Eubank, yeah, it's obvious, isn't it? Of course, he's the one at the disadvantage. And I mean, have you seen the picture of Conor Benn? He looks unbelievable.
Yeah, he's ripped.
You know, he looks in great shape. And I know that doesn't necessarily, like just said there, doesn't, you know, bring all the skills up. He could lose a bit of speed, all of that. But I think Eubank has a lot more to lose dropping that weight. And I don't know, I've not been a fan of his whole antics through the fight and all of the, you know, saying he only has to be 60% and all of this rubbish. And, you know, it's a lose-lose fight for him.
He's going to be now, so do it then. You're going to be 60% now.
Yeah, but why take a fight? I just don't understand why you would take a fight to then talk yourself into that situation. And then walking around with KFC buckets of chicken and all of that. Like, I'm not a big fan of it. So if he makes weight, I'm sure that's a bit of, you know, games on his part, but, you know, he's at the disadvantage, but I think more mentally. Like, I know people are saying, oh, you know, it's all mind games, but it's not. He doesn't ooze confidence at all when he's talking. So, yeah. Ben for the win.
And D-Star, let me tell you something also. Let's just say I fought at 154 pounds, right? I'd rather fight 160 or 168 a pounder that has a little bit more pop to their punch than a guy 147 that has speed, because that speed brings power. And let me tell you something, it'll eat you up. Prime example of Manny Pacquiao, Oscar De La Hoya. I'm telling you, those smaller guys with the speed, that I've been hit harder by smaller guys with speed than guys that are bigger and had a thudding punch. And I'll take the thudding punch all day long because at least it's a little bit slower and I can block it a little bit.
You can brace yourself. You can brace yourself for it. You can roll it because you can see it coming.
Right.
You can see it coming at the end. You can't see the faster guy's punches. It's the element of surprise.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Babe, who has Eddie Hearn said he's got to go all the way up to 157. He's the one moving up 10 pounds, not just 3, moving down 3. So Eddie Hearn's counting the numbers. You know what I mean?
Chris Eubank is at a massive disadvantage, and the major reason why is when there's a rehydration clause, you have to make weight. You have to make weight twice, not just once, twice. That's what sucks. And from what Eddie Hearn had said, the rehydration clause is below 168. I'm guessing it's about 166. So is it 167?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's not that much better, right? So he's got to weigh it at he can only put on 10 pounds. I could put on 10 pounds in an hour. All I have to do is go down the street to the Flame and Grill buffet and bring a couple gallons of water with me, and I'm 10 pounds heavier in an hour.
That's right.
So he has to go to bed, and he's got to make sure, I can't drink water. I can't do this. I can't do that. The mental stress, the cortisol is going to be risen. The way he's talking, I'm going to be honest, like Sasha said, he's trying to make it off to be like mind games. He sounds like this is just a cash out fight for him. He's basically saying the only reason why I'm taking this fight is for the money. I can't knock him for that. I don't know how much he's getting paid. I'm sure he's getting a substantial purse for this fight. And, he's saying if he loses this fight, he's going to retire. So this has the recipe of a cash out fight for him.
And B, do you know what a question that's not being asked or that should be asked? You talking about being weight drained, right? Or do you start a question should be asked is how big is this ring going to be? Because the more you weight drain, you want the smaller the ring as possible.
Yeah. So yeah, he's at a massive disadvantage, Chris Eubank Jr. A massive.
Absolutely. Nando Llama says saludos to the panel and to the chat. Hey, how you doing, brother? Without a shadow of a doubt, the advantage always goes to the smaller guy at a catch weight. That's always been the case. In fact, you just have to ask yourself, why is the catch weight happening in the first place? To try to make it even for the little guy. How do you make it even for the little guy? You weight drain the bigger guy. Okay. That's the whole point behind it. One guy's going to be at his optimum potential. The other guy is not. That's just the truth. It doesn't impact the smaller guy. He doesn't even have to weigh in at 157. He can weigh in at 154 if he wants. You know what I mean? But Eubanks is definitely at a big disadvantage for sure. Nando Llamas, I appreciate the support. Saludos to the panel and to the chat. Shout out to the chat, by the way. Now, just there's 62% saying no, 38% saying yes to the question. Will we get Spence Crawford announced this weekend? So, yeah, most people aren't buying it, but I think the boxing gods are going to bless us this weekend. I just got this feeling, you know what I mean? But we will talk about the feeling a little later. So a little birdie told me there's going to be a fight this weekend. You know what I mean? Like somewhat of a decent fight. It's going to be in Las Vegas. Saul Canelo Alvarez will be facing Gennady Triple G Golovkin in their third outing. This is a trilogy fight. They'll finally be settling. For those that were living under a rock, the first fight was controversial, ended in a draw. Second fight, still controversial. Canelo Alvarez won that fight. And now they're going to settle it. Triple G's been wanting this fight. The Zone's been wanting this fight. The fans, maybe not so much. But here it is. Sean, who do you favor in this fight, brother?
First of all, I want to shout out Alejandro Ramirez. It's one of my writers that's covering the fight this weekend. Alejandro, if you're watching this, please get some good interviews for our website. As far as Canelo, I actually think Canelo's going to stop him. I think this is the prime picking. Perfect time, perfect place, perfect age, perfect opportunity, well thought out, well planned. There's a reason why he didn't want to fight Triple G all those back-to-backs after that. He caught hell with those 2 fights. First fight, I actually thought Triple G won the first fight. Second fight, I thought it was a draw. And he proved to me he had what it takes to bang with him. Now, catching Triple G, what is he, 40, going on 41? Catch him at a prime time. And I don't think it's going to be like a knockout, but I think it's going to be a combination of punches, maybe a little bit of swelling of the highs. And I think the ref is actually going to call it as a TKO, but I don't think it's going to be a knockout. I think the ref is going to stop it late in the rounds.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go with you, Beeb. Who do you favor in this fight? Who's going to win this fight? Give me a real prediction. I don't want to hear no like that caller you had the other day.
Whoa! I'm going to give the slight edge to Canelo because I think this is a tough fight. I really do. I'm going to lay a little money on Golovkin at the plus 400. I think he's got a shot here. But I think Canelo is going to win another close decision. I like Triple G at this weight. Even at 160, I think being at that weight for so long at his age, I think he should have moved up maybe a couple fights ago, right? So yeah. I do think that this is going to be a tough fight for Canelo. I think this recent version of Canelo, like the loading up the one punch at a time, never been a big fan of his economical style, going on the ropes, trying to suck guys in for, and set traps for guys, trying to do some of the things Mayweather did in his career. But the difference is Mayweather, when he made you miss, he made you pay. Canelo will make you miss, but it doesn't always make you pay in there. So I think Golovkin had some great success with his jab in the first 2 fights. And that's one punch that I think Canelo is susceptible to, is the jab. He gets hit with a lot of jabs, especially from taller guys. Even Kovalev hit him with a lot of jabs in that fight. A lot of people had Kovalev up in that fight before he got stopped, right? Bivol did a number on him with the jab. And like I said, in the 2 Golovkin fights, I thought the key punch for Golovkin was the jab. He significantly out-jabbed him in both fights, right? So if he's going to throw one punch at a time and he's going to have that jab in his face all night and he's going to try to load up, it's going to be a tough fight, but I do think he'll eke it out. I think it's going to be a very, very close fight. I'm gonna edge Canelo here, though.
Eke it out, okay. Is it going to be controversial?
Well, my scorecard's going to say 115 to 113 for Canelo. I won't say it's controversial, but I'm sure there's going to be some people out there that's going to say it's controversial. There always is.
Okay. Sasha, who do you favor in this fight?
I mean, I think Triple G could knock Canelo out and still lose because he's never going to beat him. Like it was said before, the first fight he won, it was a draw. The second fight he lost, it was a draw, in my opinion. I honestly think he could knock him out and he'd get, Canelo would probably get 3 minutes to recover and then it'd get back up. So even Triple G's best night, I don't think he'd win. But, he is 40 now, age waits for no one. I think it's a big ask. It's a shame the fight's happened now. I think if the fight would have happened sooner, it would have been closer. I think Canelo will win. I don't know. I don't know if it'd go the distance or not. I think if it's a stoppage, it's a late stoppage. And like we said before, possibly the ref getting in. And even that could be controversial. Where does the ref stop to it? There's going to be something like that. It's not going to be a simple win. But yeah, you've got to back Canelo because they're not going to let him lose twice on the bounce, are they?
Oh man, Eddie Hearn has something under his sleeve, I think, maybe. But Lady Chan.
Yeah.
How do you see this fight?
I didn't like how. Well, there was 2 points of view that I had. I didn't really like. I saw the decline when Triple G fought Murata. So before he made that great adjustment, if Murata would have been an active fighter, because I think he was out of the ring himself like 2-3 years himself. So yep. I think he ran out of steam himself. The pressure that he was applying to the body, Triple G is never good with body shots. And that's how I feel that he is going to go out with Canelo. Canelo is amazing at body shots. He's near enough 10 years younger than the dude. But Triple G, if you're going to do chin test for chin test, They've both got amazing chins. It's definitely going to be a stoppage to the body. But let me just tell you this: if the first fight I had, it was nearly a shutout for me. I had Triple G beating Canelo 10 rounds to 2. The second fight I had it a draw. So in my opinion, Triple G is Canelo's never beaten Triple G. So this will be the first attempt and the most likely attempt of success. But bear in mind, if Canelo does not make this win look impressive, if this goes to the distance, it's not impressive for me. It's not. This says more about Triple G and less about Canelo.
Okay. Yeah, Lady Chan, I like your analogy. I like that.
Because they know I'm a Canelo fan. They're getting me back for what I said about the Queen. You see what I mean? No. In all seriousness,
King.
But here's what I'll say. A lot of what's being said is true. Look, there's definitely the perception, and it's not really perception; it's reality. He's 40 years old. He's up there in age, right? He hasn't looked that good. I don't think he looked that good against a very poor man's version of Canelo Derevchenko. He didn't look good in that fight, all right? He just hasn't looked that impressive to me. Just to be quite frank. Now, could it be a combination of he's getting older, or he's not really that inspired for these fights? I'm not sure, but Murata was landing some big body shots on Triple G and even hurt him at one point. And I can't let that escape my mind, because I think Murata's good, but he's just not at that level. So I believe that the fight will look very similar to the second fight for the first 2-3 rounds. And I think Canelo's going to notice something while he's in the ring with Triple G. I think he's going to notice that the reflexes are not the same. He's going to notice that he has compared to the first 2 fights, he has all the time in the world to land these punches. And I think he's going to start landing some haymakers on him. I think he's going to have an opportunity to load on those punches even more and start landing bigger shots on Gennady Golovkin than he was able to, more often anyway, than he was able to in the first 2 fights. And I just don't know if Gennady Golovkin's going to be able to take those punches. I do think he knocks him down at least once, and then he takes him out late. He takes him out of the 8th or the 9th round. I think Canelo's going to stop Gennady Golovkin. Those are my expectations, to be quite frank. If it goes decision, then you have to question that. You have to say, well, what's going on here? You know what I mean?
Well, D-Style, can I ask you this?
Sure.
Or anybody on the panel. I want you to really think about this. Has Triple G ever been an exciting fighter? To me, he's never been an exciting fighter, but he's been an exciting knockout artist.
Yeah, I like his stoppages. I like because he's a hard fighter.
There you go. Nobody's ever praised Triple G for being an exciting, great fighter, but they've been praising him kind of like Deontay Wilder. Nobody's ever praised him about being a great fighter, but he's a great knockout artist, and Triple G falls in that same boat.
No, not in the same boat as no bloody Deontay Wilder. I'll tell you that for free. No, you don't.
I mean, he has more skills than that.
He's got thicker legs, right? He's got thicker legs than Wilder, right?
I'm talking about as far as the knockout. People are looking for the knockouts from those fighters. But Triple G definitely got more skills than Deontay.
Oh, okay. Phew.
Yeah. Let me clarify that.
Hey,
and have y'all ever noticed this? Can y'all tell me, anybody here, can y'all tell me how a lot of Triple G's knockouts come?
Wears people down and breaks them down.
It breaks them down, yeah.
No, there's a certain punch. Have y'all paid attention to the certain punch? There's one punch that he hits people with.
You're talking about the overhand?
Yeah, and it's a certain way he throws it. When he throws the overhand, it comes straight down from the temple down.
Temple shot, temple shot.
Right? And it comes over.
Yeah.
And people don't realize, man, that'll take you out quick.
And with that power that he's got, and plus he's going up to 68, so hopefully he has even more power there. So
this is going to be a great fight. Strap yourselves in on Saturday. This is going to be a great fight. Guys are going to be very happy.
Sasha, Lady Chan, did y'all notice? Even though y'all kind of gave the same analogy, but have y'all noticed in that second fight where they gave it to Canelo, even though I thought it was a draw like y'all, well, did you notice how from the first fight to the second fight, Canelo worked? He had to work the whole camp on rolling with those punches. I mean, he rolled with every heavy right hand that he threw. I mean, he had to work all camp for that, and it worked. He was able to take those punches because
I agree 100% with you, which I think that explains why his head movement, upper body movement was on point against Jacobs. If you remember that, because people were like, "Damn, where does this Canelo come from?" And I think it was from working on that head movement, upper body movement against Gennady Golovkin. And here's the other thing, like, Canelo still rolls shots. You know what I mean? Like,
he's good at rolling shots. He's been good at it. Once after even from Floyd, he learned how to adapt to rolling shots. Yeah, I think he's really. That's why he takes the edge off the punches.
Right.
Yeah, like now I will say this though. Canelo won that second fight for real, though. I can tell you right now.
He didn't, love. He didn't, babes.
No. That was
Canelo won that second fight.
That's a draw at best.
Canelo backed his ass up. Okay, he's like, "Oh, fight me Mexican style." Came at him the whole time. Triple G was like, he let him walk. He walked him down. He controlled the center of that ring. You know what I mean?
He did, and that shot. I mean, he did, but it still at best was a draw. He had to do that just to make it a draw.
No. Come on. I scored it for Canelo. No cap. I scored the fight for Canelo.
What did you score? What did you score the first fight?
8-4. No. Well, the first fight draw. Second fight 8-4.
Oh, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, you coming on my panel.
Okay. Well, everybody loves the way Triple G moved back, right?
All right, CJ Ross. Let's go to the next topic. This is getting bad.
No, I'm just saying.
No. You want me to
CJ?
Hey. No, this is what it is. D-style.
Please, Adelaide Bird. Come on, Adelaide Bird. Let's go. Come on.
No, this is what it is, B.
Come on.
B, this is what it is. D-style. Do you still live in Texas?
Yes, sir.
Hey, he's one of those Texas judges. Everybody knows about Texas
and they've got
judges.
the same judges from the other fight. That is really bad.
That's funny.
That's silly.
I heard.
Guys, got a pair of Canelo underoos, man. Come on.
It is what it is. You know what I mean? But I will say this though: like, who won the fight?
Canelo did.
Okay.
By robbery.
So, I mean, you could call it that, but I don't agree with that whatsoever. I think Canelo won that fight.
Okay.
Gotta keep it
Could you
real.
make an argument that Golovkin won that fight or no? Is it
of course you can, yes.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Oh, you're not that far gone into delusions.
No. Well, all I'm saying is I think Canelo won that fight. I think he doesn't get credit for the things he did in that fight.
Hey, D-Style, I will say this though, D-Style. In that second fight, even though I thought it was drawn at the best, if it went Canelo, 115, 113, okay. If it went to Triple G 113, I mean, I wasn't going to cry over it, that he won. It was that close, but at best, I thought it was a draw. But I'm not upset with the decision.
Because Sasha only trying to just mad he beat up all those UK fighters. You know, that's what
I'm boxing and basketball said, like, either way, it didn't really bother me for the second fight. So
I know.
Not really.
Yeah. Now, Lady Champion, before we let you go, I know you
I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Lady Chan, stay on.
I always get the second win when I'm hanging with you guys.
There we go.
Like a boxer. Okay.
That's right. She's like Canelo in that second fight. Like she's ready to go, for a trilogy. You know what I mean? That's right.
This show's like Red Bull.
Oh, there you go. Now, Sasha. So, do you think? So you think there's something going on with because those fights, in fairness, were with Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya. Now it's with Eddie Hearn, your countryman. You don't think Eddie Hearn's going to keep it fair?
No.
The judges?
No, absolutely not. Definitely not. It's just not the way boxing is it? It's just the way of the world, unfortunately, isn't it? Like I say, no matter what, he's winning. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Eddie Hearn's not one to keep it fair.
D-Style, can I ask you something since you asked her that?
Sure.
I used to think the same way, man, and I want y'all thoughts on this. I used to think promoters, Al Heyman, Oscar, Bob Arum, they put their guys in place. This is robbery, blah, blah, blah. But the more I keep watching like these TV shows and episodes, especially the whole, what's that guy that cheated in the NBA? Donahue.
The ref?
Yeah, the ref.
I don't remember his name, but people told me about it.
But the more I keep thinking about it, is it really the promoters or is this the booking agencies? Is it the money makers?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. The commission chooses the judges. Now, is there a subconscious bias? I believe so, but the whole thought of a promoter slipping a judge an envelope under the table and this.
That's funny.
I mean, the commission is the one that chooses the judges. You know, so they have, you know, the full authority on who judges the fight. So it's like I hear things like, well, you know, Teddy Atlas says these outlandish things. Well, they know that if they don't score it for the house fighter, then they won't get it. They won't get called to be a judge. No, Teddy, the commission makes that decision, not the promoter. The promoter can object to a judge, but the commission can still say, no, we're having this judge. You can object, but we still reserve the right to keep this judge if we want to, right? So I do believe that the judges, yes, they do have a subconscious bias towards the A side on certain occasions, yes, because they're constantly hearing about, you know, the A side. It's constantly being drilled in their head how good this guy is. And yeah, I do believe in certain cases there is a subconscious bias. But the whole notion that, oh, the judges are afraid to give it to the other guy because they won't get an assignment again. No, it's not up to the promoter. It's the commission that makes that decision. So let's just get that out of the way.
And look, Joe, and that's fine that they're being picked by the commission, right? But once they are picked, are they called? Are they secret being? Or is there any type of bookies or mafia type people that influence them?
Well, I will say this. I mean, boxing is not above the mafia and all that, right?
That is possible. I'm not saying that's not possible, but you know, the whole thing about the promoters, I don't think the promoters would want to risk.
Yeah, the promoter. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's the promoters. I think once the judges are called, there's other influences as far as the money makers in Vegas and the odds and the sports booking and the mafia and people laying down bets. I always think it comes down to them versus.
It's not impossible. If you're asking me if it's impossible that could happen, no, it's not impossible. Is it improbable in my opinion? I think it's improbable, but it's not impossible.
I think what it is, and we see this in almost all sports, right? And I'm not even saying it's right. It's just the way it is. Certain players, star fighters in this case, get the benefit of the doubt. Like, it's just the way it is. You cannot sack, you know, Tom Brady the same way you could sack just your average quarterback in the NFL. You're more likely to get a flag. You know what I mean? You can't hit certain players a certain way. You couldn't foul, you know, Michael Jordan a certain way or Kobe a certain way. And look, they were still great players, right? But they did get some, you know, special treatment. I mean, you see it, Sean. You know that's true in basketball. Now, do I think it's just all like? I just think it's subconscious bias, and I think it's the crowd. I think it's they're watching a fight. Like, that's why I think judges should be in a secluded room watching these fights, because you're in there and Canelo's throwing punches and the crowd's going crazy when he's throwing them. Even if he just lands one of a flurry, then in the mind it's going to influence them. You know what I mean? It's some of these rounds are so close that little something influences it.
But it is sad, and it is a problem, because I must have talked to I got about maybe 10 phone calls today. I was talking about this fight with like 10 people, and the judges kept being brought up in every single conversation. So this has kind of followed Canelo around. You know, it's not a good look for Canelo, because you know, every fight people say if it goes to the cards, he's going to get it. We hear it's like the theme now, right? And it's been following this guy around for a long time, and a lot of fans just don't like Canelo because of that. You know, I was talking to someone today, like, I don't like Canelo because he gets these decisions when he shouldn't be getting these. You know, is that right to not like someone for that? Is he scoring his own fights? No, but it just comes with the territory. When someone perceives a fighter or a person in general of getting preferential treatment, there's always going to be a resentment towards that person. It's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, because Lady Chan and Sasha, I don't know if y'all know it, unless you're a Mexican fighter or you're a hometown like Errol Spence or something like that. Every single boxer I talk to hates coming to Texas because they just know that they're going to get screwed when it comes to a fight here. It's just the way it is. They hate it. Y'all remember when Paulie Malignaggi, man, was so pissed off every time when he had to fight Juan Diaz here. He said, man, I beat the brakes off him. You'll never get a call. And once he said that, ever since then, everybody's like, you're right. We never get calls in Texas.
What about Lawrence Cole? Lawrence Cole over there, wasn't he engulfed in some type of controversy? Wasn't there some type of rumor with him? Is it him and his dad got something going on over there or something like that?
Yeah, that's what the talk was.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's no lie about Texas there.
Yeah, there is, but robberies happen everywhere anyway. But
Lady Chan, you need to come see these Texas robberies.
Yeah. What we've said is true. Like, it just comes part and parcel with Canelo by this point. Like, so you just have some contention with him because it's just always like what Sasha said. Basically, even if you knock him out, you still lost.
But like, I mean, I is that true though? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
I
love it.
The judges had him the first 4 rounds, winning the first 4 rounds. I had Canelo winning 1 out of that 4 rounds. Let's have it right.
So I want to say this though. That's Bivol. This is an older Gennady Golovkin. You know what I mean? I mean, Golovkin's going to be like target practice compared to Bivol. Like if we're honest, I mean, I just think it's going to be target practice for Canelo. All right. I hope everybody hears me loud and clear. He's going to knock this dude out under 9 rounds. He's going to sleep. All right. Maybe not sleep, but they're gonna stop it so he can go to sleep. All right. They'll do that. All right. Now, that's the nature of the beast or of the beeb.
The over-under is 10.5.
10.5 over-under? Okay.
Yep.
There you go. Isn't the over-under always 10.5? I've been noticing this pattern.
Sometimes a lot of times it's 9.5.
Okay. They'll move it around.
They move it around. Oh, yeah.
Okay. No problem.
Remember when what's his name? Daniel Dubois fought Trevor Bryant. That over-under was like 6 rounds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It just hit too. That was funny.
Yeah. So he was going to go over. It just went over.
That's right. And Mayweather knocked out McGregor like right when the over hit too. I'm just saying, like, that was a little odd. Okay. How excited? What is the buzz for this fight? Does it feel like a big fight night? Does it feel like this big event? Sean, are you feeling the buzz?
Nope. I ain't feeling it, no buzz. It like I think Sasha or Lady Chan said earlier, which I don't remember which lady said it. I mean, it feels like 35. Yeah, I'd have been excited, but I'm not excited about a 40-year-old Triple G. Not at all. Like, I have zero interest in this fight now because of the age difference.
Okay, all right. Well, were you excited for Pacquiao Ugas?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Hey, that's a consistent dude right there. Okay. Hey, Joe Habib, what's your excitement level here? Are you kind of buying into the Pacquiao Marquez Ford thing here? Where's your excitement?
Right now, honestly, it's at a 9 right now. You know I'm a junkie when it comes to these fights.
Man, 9.
I have a sickness. I go to therapy because I'm addicted to these fights. I spent $1,000 on pay-per-views this year.
Oh, wow.
You're asking this. These are the wrong questions to ask someone like me.
Were you shaking on Saturday? We're going to withdrawals or something?
Yeah. One time I said I'm not going to buy this pay-per-view. I swear to God. It was Mayweather Maidana, right? Because I don't want to see this fight, right? And I literally started like having a panic attack. Like I hit the remote button on my remote control. I had to buy it.
You have a voice that talks to you? Like, you gotta buy it.
I buy them all. I bought Roy Jones versus Bobby Gunn. I bought Daniel Dubois versus friggin' Bryant on the King Vision.
Oh my God.
Hey, can I say something, Beeb? These style, all y'all and the ladies too.
Well, let's. Well, really quick, Sean. Let's just finish going around, and then you can ask your question. But
it was just something that Beeb said.
Okay, go ahead.
But I don't know if anybody feels this way, but I bought like maybe one pay-per-view this year. I don't know why, but I'm excited to actually get on Twitter and just wait round by round to see what people say. I don't know. It's just something about the excitement of not watching and see what people are giving me round by round. All right, go ahead. You go ahead.
It's funny when I do those live casts sometimes, and the people in the chat, like, they're so grateful that I do it sometimes, you know, or anyone that does it. They love when you do that. When we come on here, I know Lady Chan does them too. People are very appreciative of that, because you know what it is? It's like they're so tired sometimes of hearing the normal commentators, and a lot of times they like to hear us because we're kind of, I believe we're a lot more objective than the, you know.
Yeah. And the commentators.
They have an agenda and stuff like that. That's true. Yeah. Sasha, where's your excitement level for this for you?
Not feeling it. Not feeling it at all.
Are you going to be awake? Are you going to be awake for the fight or not?
No. So this is the thing. I'm not even going to stay awake for it. I'm just quite happy to probably actually look on Twitter, see who's won, and then I'll watch it. Like I just said, I'll probably look through what everyone said.
I'd be shaking.
She won't stay for Canelo versus Schubert, but she'll come on the roundtable, though. You know what I mean? And we're going places. We're going places. You know what I mean? Hey, Lady Chan, where's your excitement level for this?
Scale of 1 to 10. Scale of 1 to 10.
Okay. Sure. I'm about maybe about 4.5. 5.
Jesus Christ.
Hey.
But I'm still,
you'd rather play a game of Scrabble than watch this.
No, but I like to still watch it. Like, just because something sometimes is a 4.5, things can be a 2. I still watch it. Like, it's because it's on. Like, I will watch it. I was thinking, will I do a watch along? But I may not do the watch along. But I will watch. I will watch it. But then the spirit might take me, and I might be like, right.
You're gonna get an adrenaline rush. You're gonna get an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, but I'm definitely gonna watch it. But I'm not as interested in it that much. Yeah, it's more a bit of curiosity to see kind of what Triple G is saying, kind of more than what Canelo's saying, kind of, because we've been seeing Canelo, so it's cool. But I want to kind of see what Triple G is saying. But yeah, about 4.55.
I'm at a
20.
I'm at a 6. I'm at like a 6.2. You know what I mean, or something like that.
Changing mine to a 10.
Yeah, because I'm looking forward to this brutal stoppage that's about to happen.
You're not looking forward to it as much as that. I think you're capping.
You think I'm capping?
How can you be like Canelo's your dude, and you're only like a point or 2 up from my interest level? How? So?
Well, I mean, like it's I don't live and die by Canelo either. You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, it's what it is. Like it's a fight that I wasn't interested in at first, and it kind of grew on me a little bit. That's all. You know what I mean? But hey, come weigh in. You know, I think there's gonna be people at the weigh-in. I think the atmosphere will maybe get me to a 7, maybe. I don't know. But I just think I'm looking forward to a very brutal stoppage. I think Triple G is going to be target practice. People are going to feel sorry for Triple G halfway through this fight.
Oh no!
You know what? Twitter's going to be mad at Canelo. Like, oh, see, why is he fighting this poor man? He's picking on him.
Now you're being a little hyperbolic now. Now you're being a little
hyperbolic. This, because I don't believe a miracle's going to happen. I don't believe Triple G's going to turn water into wine. I don't believe Triple G's going to part the Red Sea. I don't believe he's going to do any of that shit. He's going to get stopped. Okay? Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm just saying. Beeb, I just want to ask you before we move on. Do you still believe in the Calix Marcus Pacquiao theory? And do you think it applies to this fight?
This fight is going to be a razor close fight. I'm telling you, it's going to be a razor close fight. This is the bet you should bet. Just throw a little something on Golovkin because he's a plus 400, and then bet Canelo to win by decision. He's a plus 115. You're going to make money. You'll make money.
Yeah.
You'll make money.
I don't like. I mean, I might as well just flush my money down the toilet if I'm going to do that. You know what I mean? But like, I would just
let's not get out of here. Man, please.
Just bet Canelo to win straight up.
throw money in the toilet now. Come on, we got kids watching.
You know, it is what it is. Okay, just
Please.
people like go get a lighter and then light up your money. Like that, you might as well just tell them that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying.
Don't tell people to use lighters and light fire.
Now, speaking of cap, we'll go around really quick. We'll start with you, Sean. Cap or no cap? Canelo says he wants Bivol rematch if Bivol beats Zurdo.
Cap.
Oh, okay, all right. He's full of okay. Beeb, cap or no cap?
Triple cap.
Triple cap, man. Okay. Sasha, does he want that fight? Cap or no cap?
Cap.
Okay. Lady Chen, make me proud. Come on. Cap or no cap?
Cinco veces cap.
Man, she's rushing it. I do think Canelo's serious when he says he wants to fight Bivol again. I mean, I'm just saying.
Sorry I couldn't make you proud.
It is
Can Canelo do no wrong in your eyesight?
I never knew you was like that.
No, what's so hard to believe that he wants to fight Bivol? He's already fought him before. He said he wanted to fight him again.
He knows he can't beat him.
Do you think Canelo should get the Presidential Medal of Freedom?
No.
Do you think he should get the key to the city?
Maybe in Guadalajara or something. You know what I mean? Like maybe. You know.
Hey, you know what's been proven? It's been proven by Floyd and Bivol that Canelo has problems with slick
movers.
boxers.
With people that move and
can take a punch.
Yeah, and
all right. So if that fight happens, I look forward to talking to all you about it. But let's do one more cap or no cap. We'll start with you, Sean.
Okay.
This is a quote from Clarissa Shields. If Marshall trades with me, she's going to sleep.
Wait a minute. Are we talking about Clarissa Shields that only has 2 knockouts?
But
cap or no cap? That's a cap.
Oh, okay.
Cap. 10 cap, 20 cap.
Okay. Babe, cap or no cap?
50 caps.
50 caps. God. What's with okay. Sasha, cap or no cap?
Can I pick both? Because
sure.
I don't think she's going to put her to sleep, but I think she can overwhelm her and get a stoppage. I think.
Okay. Possibly. All right. Okay. So you feel she means it, like, or she's just talking?
Yeah. No, I think she truly believes she's got power. Whether she has or not to be questioned, obviously. But I think she truly believes she has, and you can see that when she loads up on shots sometimes when probably isn't the best time to load up on shots. But I think she genuinely thinks that she can, knock people out.
Okay.
But it's just not been a moment yet, maybe.
Lady Chan, if Marshall trades with me, she's going to sleep. Cap or no cap?
Must be a British thing because I'm with Sasha. Because I think in her head, she thinks she can do it. But I don't think she can do it. Like, I think she can overwhelm because she's a volume puncher. So it's semi-cap.
Semi-cap. Man, so a visor, pretty much.
Yeah, not cap.
He said a visor.
A visor. I like that. Man, D-Style, that was good. Advisor.
Oh, man. All right. Now, since we're talking about capping, let's talk about the king of the caps. Okay, the king of the gypsies, the king of the caps, right? Look, to my surprise, that this whole story has moved fast. Now, it doesn't mean I think it's going to happen, but Anthony Joshua accepts all of Tyson Fury's terms for a December 3rd fight. Well, are we going to get this fight? And what are your general thoughts about it? Let's start with you, Lady Chan.
Let's go, Beeb. Let's go. It's right. Now it's Beeb's time to be fanboying. It's your go now, Beeb. It's your go. Like, we've done D-Style. Now it's Beeb. But Beeb's quite fair usually. But I just don't believe that this fight is going to happen because I tweeted it. 2 days ago, Frank Warren was saying that he sent the contract. Yesterday, he was on TalkSport. He said he sent the contract. And today, Eddie Hearn's like, we haven't received the contract. So, cap.
Man, she's just a cap. Okay. You don't think it's going to happen then? Fury's full of it?
I'm pessimistic on this one now. I don't really think it's going to happen.
Okay. Sasha, it looks like he agreed to everything. Are we going to get this fight? And what are your thoughts about it?
I think we'll get it. I don't think this year, though. I'm not convinced by the date at all. Having said that, I've still booked a hotel ready for in case it is announced. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen that date. I just feel like it's all happened. It's all been too easy. And that just doesn't sit right. It's come about too easy. It's all what apparently agreed. There's no issues. Apparently Frank Warren and Tyson said, take it or leave it. And Eddie Hearn has said, yeah, okay. I don't buy that whatsoever. So I think it will happen. But I think it might need to be next year. I think they'll have to do some ironing out of terms and contracts and things like that first.
All right. Biba, I believe you're very optimistic about this. So talk to us. What are your thoughts?
I was until I heard Eddie Hearn's interview. I was almost dead positive this was going to. We were going to get an announcement on Tuesday.
Was that the interview Eddie Hearn had a cap on the zone? He literally had a cap on.
He literally had the cap on. Cap.
Anytime Eddie Hearn, because Ed, this is what was making me feel very optimistic and happy. When Frank said the contract was sent over, and then when Eddie Hearn was talking, oh, we're going to stay positive. We're not going to say anything bad. And then what did he do today? Said something negative, right? Said something negative. So today, you know what I felt like? You know when you go under the Christmas tree, and there's going to be 10 presents there, and then you go there and then you find out like a McDonald's gift certificate, and that's it. That's how I felt.
So it's not starting to feel a lot like Christmas.
It's not going to happen. And this is the hardest thing about being a Tyson Fury fan, because he takes you on a roller coaster ride. And unlike you, unlike you, I have to be objective. I can't lie to myself.
You are
as much as I want to lie to myself.
Yeah,
I want to lie to myself.
You're not really fanboy.
What are you talking to me? You're talking to me?
When people lie to me, but there's one thing I hold myself accountable to. I will never lie to myself.
Yeah.
If I'm going out with a girl and I ask her if she's having a good time and she lies to me and says she is, I don't care. Because if she says she's having a good time, then I'm happy. I don't want people to tell me the truth sometimes, but I can't lie to myself.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
I like how he put his right hand. He's under oath or something. Look, I solemnly swear.
Like, you're 53 years old, man. You lived your life. There's nothing. You don't have to put up a front anymore. You know what I'm saying? Half my life's over, anyways. I got to live this next half the right way, right?
I should have
the right way, man.
I should have said anything about the Queen. I'm getting called a fanboy, and I'm getting like this is crazy. You know what I mean?
Quit while you're ahead with the Queen. Quit while you're ahead with the Queen stuff. You had to take an L of the Queen, please.
No. I'm gonna leave that alone. You know what I mean? But Sean. Well, what do you think? Do you think we're going to get this fight, brother? Because is it too good to be true? Is it maybe just like, well, what do you make of it?
Number one, I want to start by saying I'm a huge Tyson Fury fan. I don't think no heavyweight can beat him. None that's out there. I think Tyson Fury wants it because this is probably going to be one of his most easiest fights ever. I think that Anthony Joshua wants it because he wants one last good payday before he goes out because he knows he's going to lose. And Eddie Hearn is the one that doesn't want it because I think Sasha or Lady Chan said earlier, the man can sell out arenas even if he fights a bum. And that's just generating money for Eddie Hearn. So why would Eddie wanted to go out with that big loss like that? And it would be a knockout loss too, a devastating knockout loss.
Man,
I think the fighters want it. I think the fighters want it for different reasons.
I'm going to be honest with you. I honestly believe Anthony Joshua thinks he can win the fight. I believe he thinks this is a better style matchup for him than Usyk. I think he's more confident going into this.
Hey, Beeb, he didn't think he can beat Usyk. If he think he could have beat him, why didn't he throw that right hand?
Well, I'll tell you this.
He fought him twice.
I'll tell you this. I think he thinks he can beat Fury.
Yeah, it's a better style matchup for him.
Better style matchup for him.
Even that's a worse style matchup. He might feel that way.
In his mind, I truly believe this is my opinion. This is my opinion. In his mind, I think he always wanted this fight.
Let me ask you this: Do y'all agree? Do y'all agree that if they fight, I really wholeheartedly believe that he would get knocked out. I mean, knocked out.
I think Fury would win. I think Fury would win. I'm not 100% sure that he would get the knockout.
Yeah, I don't think they'll
yeah.
get knocked out. I haven't seen Anthony Joshua like do a Deontay Wilder and sleep yet. So
The difference between this fight, but the difference between Joshua Fury and Wilder Fury is Joshua is not going to go in there bombs away like Wilder did. He's not going to be that wide open.
yeah, it's
You
not
know what I
the
mean? Joshua doesn't overextend himself when he punches. He's, you can criticize sometimes when he throws his jab, he may par it out, maybe they leave it out there, but you never see Joshua put his head and shoulders across his knees like Wilder. Wilder leans into all those. Wilder leans into those shots. Go back and look at the knockout, the knockdowns and knockout. Wilder comes in and he's like basically leaning in. Joshua
telegraphed as well.
Joshua's got a tight defensive construct in terms of his positioning and his feet, and but the problem sometimes what he does is like I said, with the jab, he leaves it out there. He can get hit with counter right hands,
Joshua is his worst own enemy. I think that Joshua has a great right hand if he throws it. I think he can knock out 90% of the people if he throws it, but he's scared.
I don't think he's scared, bro.
Well, he has knocked out. Hold on. The stats. He has knocked out about 88% of people, nearly 90%. He's knocked out nearly everyone bar that 4 people. So
I think he's lost his confidence, so and that's why he doesn't throw. Though I think mentally, the last few years he's gone, and he's not the same person.
I think in fights, sometimes he shows an indecisiveness.
Yeah.
But here's where let me say this. So is Joshua not the same, or has he been fighting who, I mean, everywhere I turn around, Usyk's number 1 pound for pound. Usyk's the most skilled boxer. He's more skilled than Crawford, than Canelo, and I see people saying he's number 1 pound for pound. No, maybe not you, Sean, but
yeah.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to look good against Usyk, right?
Well, I thought Joshua was going to lose to Usyk decisively. I don't think he lost decisively. I thought he lost clearly, but I thought he made a very good account of himself. I'm just being all you have to do is, if you go back and listen to the live broadcast I did, I was saying like, wow, I'm impressed. He's doing a lot better. Yeah. And everyone says, oh, he lost the last 3 rounds. I thought the 12th round could have gone either way. Yeah. I actually gave him the 12th round. One judge gave him the 12th. I gave him the 12th round.
Yeah.
I had a 7-5.
I had him lose for that.
Did you give him the 12th round, Lady Chen?
No, I didn't give him the 12th, but I could see why people did. But I didn't give him the 12th. I didn't give him the 11 and 12. But I know
my issue with Fury is his inconsistency and his erratic behavior. Okay, this is the same guy who just left the sport when he was supposed to rematch Vladimir Klitschko. This is the same guy that should have fought Wilder immediately, and then he ended up, going to ESPN and doing some fights nobody really cared about. Wallen ended up being a good opponent, in hindsight, but I don't think he was not expecting a tough fight from Wallen in that fight. I could tell you that right now. But if Wallen can cut him and give him some work, there's no doubt in my mind AJ could do the same, in my opinion, right? I would favor Fury in the fight. I'll keep it real. But does Fury really want it, though? Because every time I turn around, Fury's either retired, he wants to go to WWE, he wants to fight in the UFC, he wants to box a UFC fighter, he wants to fight the dude from Game of Thrones, the Giant, whatever the dude's name is, and then he wants to fight. He's saying that Chisora is ducking him or some shit, and then now he wants AJ. I honestly don't think he expected AJ to say yes to 64.
No, he didn't. The deal that he offered AJ, he would never have taken in a million years himself.
But he didn't. When he was offered that deal,
he didn't.
I want 50-50. He wasn't even nobody really then.
And then when he was going to fight Usyk, I believe he was going to fight Usyk, but he wanted to fight in between, right? He didn't want to wait, right? He wanted to fight in between. Now Usyk wants to wait, and now he's yelling at Usyk because he wants to wait. But when
well, Usyk broke his hand hitting Anthony Joshua. Let's keep that all in.
Yeah, Usyk is injured. I mean, there's no question about
so,
that.
you know, he has to wait till his hand heals.
Yeah, so
But Fury likes getting people at a deficit. That's what he does. That's what he do. Sorry.
He does.
He likes winding people up too, and he's an attention seeker. Is basically, you know, it's pretty.
Beeb, as it goes along, doesn't your love a little bit dwindle a little bit for him?
Can I be honest with you? This is the difference. See, I don't like Floyd Mayweather at all, but I love him as. I think I'm amazed at him as a fighter.
I'm like,
I do think Fury's funny sometimes, but sometimes he's irritating too. So I'll be honest with you, I am extremely impressed with Fury's boxing ability. I think he's a phenomenal fighter.
I like him as a boxer.
I think he's a phenomenal fighter, but I can see why people criticize him because you can't keep saying things, getting people's hopes up high, and then
fucking up.
That's going to backlash after a while. I wasn't a big fan of the xenophobic thing when he said I thought that was in poor taste, and it was a very poor timing when he said that.
So much double standards that come to him, especially because he's in the UK, and the UK give him so many passes. Because if Anthony Joshua said even a quarter of the things that he said, he would be desecrated.
Yeah. So none of these guys are perfect, but he's put his foot in his mouth time and time again.
How tall is Fury again? How tall is he?
They say 6'9", but really he looks. I
think he's about 6'8".
Okay, so like I didn't know they could stack shit that high. Like
when he stood next to Magic Johnson, he looked like 2 inches shorter than him. He may be like 6'8". Right?
Okay.
Maybe 6'8".
Hey, you know what? I actually like Tyson Fury's sporadic ways. I like being on the edge of my seat, not knowing what he's going to say or do. I like Floyd Mayweather saying he's going to do this one fight and don't do it in sporadic. I like Adrian Broner when he said he's going to do this and then he changes. I like sporadic people that don't know what they're going to do. I love it. I love it because I never know what I'm going to get.
I'm the type of guy when I make plans with somebody, I'm like, okay, we're going to go out to the bistro over here, the French bistro. And then all of a sudden we get ready, I get dressed up. Oh no, we're not going there. We're going to go to Flappin' Jacks now. I'm dressed to go to the bistro. I don't like.
We're gonna go to Flappin' Jacks.
Well, listen. No, hold on.
I don't like spontaneity.
Hold on. I don't like that in my everyday life. When we're gonna make plans and do stuff, I don't like that. But as far as a boxer, keeping you on the edge of your toes, not knowing what they're going to do or say next. I love it when it comes to entertainment. When it comes to boxing entertainment,
the fights are not being made when he does that shit. Half the time it's a deflection. The fights are not being made. Like Floyd Mayweather still made the fights. Yeah.
Like remember when he came out, he said that the fight with Joshua was official. Remember that? And then the next day he lost the litigation or whatever.
In Wilder.
And the fact about that was I knew 8 months beforehand because I knew that fight wasn't going to happen, and I kept telling everyone it was going to happen, and people would get mad at me. Rafael Dawkins was yelling at me, "Beeb, you just don't want the fight to happen. What's wrong with you?" Like I'm just telling you, it's not
what you was talking about. Yeah, of course.
I just told it's not going to happen.
I mean, Lady Chan, who is there that people want to see him fight?
Who? Fury?
Yeah.
No one. How about that?
Nobody wants to see him fight?
Usyk and AJ. That's it.
I don't know how Sasha feels, but he's not that massive here, mate. Like if he's not the draw, his profile has risen, but it's not like he can fight like a bin man and then everybody like really wants to watch it. Like versus AJ. No fanning, but that is a true epitome of a cash cow.
It's true. It's true.
How do you feel about it, Sasha? Before we go to the next topic, is Fury like just on that one thing? Is he like how big of a name is he in the UK?
I think his stock continues to rise. I think he's bigger in America. That's why he goes there. But I do believe he will sell here. I think you could put him in with nearly anyone, and he does sell. I remember his return in Manchester. And he did sell out quickly, and he was fighting a nobody, but everyone wanted to see him make his return.
When was that?
When he come back from his like mental health break and things like that, whatever. I can't remember.
Safari or something?
when it, yeah.
Safa Fury.
I can't remember. It was, yeah. And but I think a lot of people go to watch him get beat in that hope of he's not always particularly liked. I think it's quite 50-50 split with who likes
Like
him, who
Mayweather
doesn't.
was over here. Like Mayweather, half the people wanted Mayweather to win, half the people wanted him to lose.
Yeah,
But either way, he's selling and making money, so I don't think he cares. I think he would sell out Wembley, even if he wasn't fighting. I think even if you put him in with White, he would sell that out.
With who?
With Dillian White, he'd sell.
Yeah, all right, but we did that, but that's because of Dillian White, who Dillian White is as a fighter. He was selling out near enough to O2 arenas, which were 20,000 capacities itself. So if you think about the top 15 who's accessible to Tyson Fury, take out Anthony Joshua. Who does Tyson Fury sell out 90,000 seats to?
I honestly think anyone in that top 15, because he's the same as AJ.
Ajit Kabayel, he sells 93,000 tickets.
I think people would just pay to watch him fight. I think I don't even think it matters who he's in the ring with. I think certain fighters have that ability where they can sell 90,000 tickets.
If they scaled the stadium down to like maybe 70, would he sell that out, Lady Jen, against Cabby?
No, not.
Well, how big is Daniel Dubois over there?
No, he wouldn't sell 70,000 with no Daniel Dubois either.
I think with Tyson Fury, remember his following as well, and obviously with the gypsy background as well, he brings a huge following with him. I truly believe he would sell out somewhere like Wembley to anyone in the top 15, because you just put him in the ring and he would sell. And I just think like the same as AJ, I think. And I think that would have been the better thing with AJ. The better game plan is to travel, do that world tour that Eddie Hearn mentioned, because you can put him in the ring with the top 15 and he'll sell.
What about with Joe Joyce?
What about Joe Joyce? No, of course that's not going to be 90,000. No, guys, please stop it.
I don't know how big he is over there, so I don't know.
No. Sorry, that's where we have to be divided.
Do you think
sell out?
One more. You could. Well, one more thing, B, but then we'll move on. But go ahead.
Do you think though, after the Wilder fights and the Dillian White fight, do you think his profile increased a bit at all?
His profile increased, but Tyson Fury is pretty much. Look, let's put it this way. You saw Canelo fight Yildirim. That sold out. It sold out. He provided everybody that Canelo fights. He provides them life-changing money every single time. Doesn't matter if he's you know that, Beeb. So Anthony Joshua is the same way. He sells out.
About time to say something nice about Canelo.
Tyson Fury, because I do with stats, facts, and data. I always tell the truth. Numbers don't lie. Tyson Fury failed, even with his Otto Violin. They had 5,000 people bumped on the seats. Okay, that's before his profile had risen. With Dillian White already. Tyson Fury is dependent on a dance partner. When do you see, tell the truth, do you see a heavyweight boxer who is a champion that picks someone coming off 2 back-to-back losses, if it isn't in there, if that person...
It's a clout chase. It's a clout chase.
Because Anthony Joshua brings the money. When it was Dillian White, he was struggling to give Dillian White, I don't want to give Dillian White 40%. He doesn't deserve that 30%. He should get his 20%. Listen, someone that's coming off and Dillian White was coming off of wins. It broke once in the Povetkin thing, but he was coming off consistent 11 wins, right? A run. Anthony Joshua is coming off 2 consecutive back-to-back losses, but yet he's offered 60.
You don't think though, Lady Chan, that after the 2 fights with Wilder, and those,
I already said his stock has grown, but it's like, listen, in the UK, if you try and put
now he's champion.
Tyson Fury with Martin Piccoli, and you think that we're going to buy that and he's going to garner 90,000 or 70,000 people in the UK, you're having a laugh, mate. You're having a bubble. That's why he does. That's why he's not doing that.
To give some credibility to what she's saying, the one thing she said that kind of makes you think is, why would he be calling out Joshua now? Because Joshua doesn't have to, he can fight anyone and still get a good crowd. He's specifically calling out Joshua,
money.
Even if he's not going to fight him, he's still trying to use Joshua's name for publicity.
For money? and the gate revenue and what they're going to generate for Frank Warren, because it's going to be on BT Sport. But remember, they put up $41 million. They're in a deficit right now. So using Anthony Joshua, and that's going to be solely sold on BT Sports pay-per-view.
Show me the money.
That brings them right back into
Lady Chan.
It reminds me of Jerry Maguire.
Lady Chan, do you think he's asking now because before that second loss to Usyk, he knew that because of Joshua's star power, he could have made it a 50-50 or 60-40 fight still, but because of the second loss to Usyk and his third loss total, now Fury believes I'm the A side, I can get more now.
Right.
Yeah, well, but by technically playing by the book, this is the thing. When you're playing with someone that's a cash cow, and remember, these are anomalies. You don't always come across a cash cow. As much as technically Tyson Fury is the champ doesn't garner more than Anthony Joshua. But if we're going to play technically by the rules, we are going to have to accept it 60-40. Tyson Fury knows what he's doing. It's also more of an ego thing where it's like, well, I'm the A side now and XYZ, because when Tyson Fury wasn't the champ and he wanted 50-50. Both him and Wilder wanted 50-50. And in the end, Anthony Joshua offered them 50-50 and they still tossed off and fought each other. So, you know.
Gotcha. Well, look, we'll see if that fight happens. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, that will be a nice Christmas present, though. I'll say that. Look, one last topic. So we all know Josh Taylor recently vacated some of his belts, right? Yeah. And so the question is, look, does an undisputed champion need to really keep all the belts with them once they win them to be recognized as the real champion of the division? Like, is any less of a champion without those trinkets? Or does a fighter need to keep those belts? Is there something that comes with that, right? And just in general, do we overrate Undisputed as boxing fans, right? Babe, we'll start with you.
Well, we had a conversation about this earlier, and back in the day, you know, when I used watching boxing many years ago, the only division that really mattered that if it was undisputed or not was heavyweight, and the other divisions no one really cared. Everyone knew who the best fighter was. But I think because of guys like Canelo and guys like Joshua, who are the two biggest names of the sport, they kept pushing Undisputed. So that's why I think Undisputed all of a sudden became a thing. So to me, I always have an idea, in my opinion, from my perspective, who the best fighter is in the division. And even if a lot of times they can be two, like, for instance, with the welterweight division, you can argue that it's either Spence or Crawford. I tend to, in my opinion, I think Crawford is the better one of the two, but there obviously is an argument for Spence as well. But most fans in their minds kind of know who the best fighter is. There is a general consensus on who the best fighter is in each division. So Undisputed is good, but it was never as important in recent memory than it is now because, like I said, of Joshua and Canelo. I think they were the ones that, you know, breathed life into Undisputed and made it more popular, in my opinion.
Okay, all right. Sasha, how do you feel about Undisputed? And is Josh Taylor any less of a champion in your eyes without those belts?
Yeah, I like Undisputed. I'm not a fan of 4 different champions plus all these silver belts, other belts, all of that rubbish. I think I just don't like it. I'd much rather, like every other sport, who is the best in that division? And it is black and white. There's no, oh, I think it's this person, I think it's that person. Who's the best in the division? And it should just be simple. So for that reason, I mean, in my opinion, I just want one belt. I don't like all these different belts and these different organizations. Obviously, that'll never happen. So for me, I think Undisputed is important. And with someone like Josh Taylor, who's vacated a lot of his belts, maybe not for him because he's got the clout of saying I am a former undisputed world champion. But if he goes and rematches Catterall, he's taken that opportunity away from him now. And he's worked all them years to fight for Undisputed, controversially lost or was robbed. And that's gone now. And now you've got to work your way of being mandatory or getting money fights to fight for these individual belts again. So I think it holds back the sport at times as well. So yeah, in my opinion, I think Undisputed, I think it's clear to see who's the best in that division. And yeah, I think you should hold on to them.
Hold on to, okay, all right. Lady Chen, well, what are your thoughts on that? Is Tater any less of a champion in your eyes now that he's vacated these belts? And do you think overall is Undisputed overrated? After Chen, go ahead and go, Sean.
No, I like Undisputed. I mean, it's I think it's a bit harder to achieve in this 4-belt era. I don't think Josh Taylor is less than at the end of the day, he's in the history books. 4-belt era. He's one of the 8, so it doesn't make him less of a legacy fighter. No, but now he is now less of a champ. He solidified his legacy, but like, I'm just of the thing where if you're just going to vacate them all. Just vacate them all and maybe just move up like what he was supposed to do. It's just the route that what he's doing is a bit, up for debate, rubs people up the wrong way a bit. And poor Jack Catterall, at the end of the day, he's not playing for all the marbles like what it was before. And that's going to be a once in a lifetime type of opportunity kind of thing. But I don't think Undisputed, is it overrated? That's a hard one, because the thing is with Undisputed, not necessarily the champion that's Undisputed is the best in the division. And I'll give you the example of this. Devin Haney is Undisputed, but I think there's other lightweights that beat him. So
You can argue Lomachenko is the best fighter in the division.
this is what I'm saying. So do you understand? So
Sure.
it depends how you acquire the Undisputed, because he's got it just kind of from one person and that's it, and he hasn't had to fight. Whereas, kind of like Canelo, whether you want to, critique the level of champ that he went through, he still went through a route. Champ, one belt. Kind of like if you've just taken a load of belts off of one person and now you're the Undisputed champion. No disrespect, because he's still in the books, the history books. But you can still argue that there's better fighters in the 135 division than Devin Haney. But then when you want to use it with Fury and say for Fury and AJ, when it was Fury and AJ, when AJ was a champ, it would have been a nice thing to see. But without those belts, we just want to see that fight because we just want to know who the best UK heavyweight is. So that will be definitive for us on that scope. But with Usyk and Fury, yeah, we do still want an undisputed heavyweight champion because we haven't seen it since Lennox Lewis, and it's time.
Right, Sean.
I look at it a couple of ways, D-Style. I think the belts are very important for you to get a couple belts when you're first working your way up to a championship. And I think those belts have established you at first. But then after a while, you don't need the belts no more, depending on if you can make it into that superstar status. Floyd doesn't need belts. Canelo doesn't need belts. Manny Pacquiao doesn't need belts. I think Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford doesn't need belts. I think these guys don't need belts to make money, make fights, and be superstars and go down as Hall of Famers. The question I want to know, or say D-Style, is I'm not undisputed is okay, and I think that's pretty cool. Like Lady Chen said, you're going to go down in a Hall of Fame, you're going to go down in record books, right? But I want to see something that nobody's done. I want to see a guy that's at least 35-0, 40-0, 45-0 retire as the undisputed, making 4 or 5, 6 defenses of that undisputed title. That's what I want to see.
Okay. Here's what I'll say about Undisputed. I've always been a fan of it because of what it accomplishes. Ultimately, boxing, okay, it's a lot of things. We all want to see good fights. We all want to see exciting fights. But ultimately, what these fighters are doing, it's a hierarchy that they're establishing, right? And we want to know who the best is, right? And I think it was G-Funk that said it in the chat. It's already a subjective sport as it is. Even when you have an undisputed champion, it's subjective, right? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got them. You know what I mean? So what Undisputed just it establishes that it cuts off different routes to become champion, and it gives one road. One road leads to one individual, right? And I think that is important. Like, I think that's why I feel not Joshua, AJ. What am I talking about? Taylor. Taylor should have done everything in his power to keep those belts. You know what I mean? Even if that meant holding off on the Catterall rematch for now, or whatever it meant to keep those belts, because now all that happens when there's no undisputed champion, it becomes easier for people to pick up belts. Okay, dudes that probably don't belong being the world champions become world champions. All right, guys that you already beat, you get an opportunity to grab a trinket. All right, and we have guys that should be, if we had one belt, right, guys that would be ranked number 5 are winning belts, right? So I think it just helps. It's less watered down when there's one dude that rules everything. All right. And I think that's why Undisputed is important. And me personally, at least mentally, it's kind of hard to take the winner of Cepeda Prograis serious as a champion when I know Taylor never lost that belt. I know Taylor was the undisputed champion. I know that Taylor won, like that. I just know this, right? Now, granted, once there's a winner, months are going to pass by, and even I'm not going to care, right? Like, it is what it is. But that's just a mental thing that I know, right? And I think people get a little too technical, though, with the undisputed thing. So, for example, Lomachenko won a WBC belt. He grabbed, I think it was a WBO as well, and he picked up the IBF. And then Top Rank wanted to do the Teofimo fight. He had the IBF belt. And then they asked for franchise for whatever reason. Okay. And Devin Haney was upgraded to regular champion. So when Teofimo beat Lomachenko, people were saying, no, he's not undisputed because Devin Haney. But Loma never lost the belt. Like that's a frustrating thing about undisputed, though. Like, it's not the idea of undisputed. It's the way the belts work, how they make secondary belts, how they can just upgrade somebody to world champion if for whatever reason. That's the problem with the 4-belt era. Like, it's hard to stay as an undisputed champion. You know what I mean? So, like, it is what it is. That's how I feel about it. But I like it. I'm still in favor of undisputed. Mm-hmm. It eliminates more opinion and it gives them more facts.
But these styles, it's designed to never stay that way, right? Because you look at WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO, sure, right? And they'll make it where you might fight one time defending it, right? And then, like, 2 months later, the WBA, like, oh, well, this person's been the mandatory waiting for 2 years. You got to give it to them in less than 90 days now. Guys, like, I just came out of a hard fight. I'm not going back until fight 90 days. And the reason why they make it that way is because anytime you just do undisputed and you're fighting once or twice a year, all those other belts, those organizations not making the sanctioning fees off. They're not making money off of you, and it's hurting them.
Well, I mean, AJ kept 3 of them.
Yeah, but see, that's why I'm not a crazy fan of undisputed sometimes, because like Sean said, it holds up the super fights, because if you have to fight all these mandatories, and a lot of times too, once someone becomes undisputed, they never hold the titles that long. They always end up vacating 1 or 2 of the belts down the road, because there's always a bigger fight out there for them to fight, and they'd rather fight the big fight than fight the mandatory, which is significantly less money. The only time, like I said, it mattered was with the heavyweights, because the heavyweights, they don't have to fight the mandatories as often as the lighter weight classes. I think they have a year, sometimes a year and a half,
Yeah.
to fight a mandatory. So, I don't know. I like undisputed, but I don't think it's the be all end all of greatness. Like Floyd Mayweather was never undisputed. Manny Pacquiao was never undisputed, right? So
No, it was in the free
I
belt
mean,
era.
that's true, but you could also argue that they conveniently avoided some fights because they didn't have to become undisputed.
you could argue
Yeah.
that, but yeah,
like you could argue, like, I guess that's there's always going to be those questions, like,
it's there's subjectivity to it all. Yeah, sure.
but like as far as the super fights, it's not going to hold up a fight if the other guy earns a shot, right? Like,
well, sometimes too, you can file for an exception too, and you can kind of get a permission from the sanction to hold up the mandatory. But when you got 4 mandatories being thrown at you,
Those coming up.
that's Yeah, you can't get an exception for all of them. You know what I mean?
Did
Yeah,
you
for sure.
did you know that if you're, here's an example, did y'all know that if you're a 140-pound champion, say I'm the 140-pound champion, Beeb is the 147-pound champ, and D Style, you're the mandatory, you've been the mandatory for 2 years, and you're like, man, by regulations and what you have in there, I have to fight Beeb next. Do you know if I vacate my belt at what, and we have the same belt, say the WBC, if I vacate my belt at 140 and say I want to fight Beeb at 147, do you know, you being a mandatory, you get kicked down? It stipulates that a
Yeah, for
champion
sure.
moving up that was a champion will knock out a 2-year mandatory, which is the max they should go fighting it, and I can automatically get the fight.
It depends. If the WBO elevates you to super champion, you have to be elevated to super champion. Then you, then you become mandatory. But here's the thing too: if you read all of these rules, right? Like the WBC's rules, for instance, you could be ranked number 1, and the number 5 contender could be made the mandatory challenger. And even if you're made the mandatory challenger, they still can reserve their right to order the fight when they want to order the fight. So they could keep delaying the mandatory fight. Mm-hmm. It's all up to, they have so much. You know what happened is remember when Roy Jones sued the WBC? That's when everything went all these
so why not
changing their rules to kind of make it so.
That was during the Tiger fight, right? Was that Darius Malcheski, the Tiger, or something like that? No,
Gianfranco Roshachetti.
Gianfranco Roshachetti, yeah.
He said that he said that he was going to vacate the title. Right. Then he said, "No, I want it. I don't want to vacate it." And then Roshachetti had to fight for the vacant title, so he sued the WBC and he won.
That's right.
So then the WBC now makes these rules at the WBC's discretion, and they started all the stipulations. But back then they didn't have all that verbiage in their rules because Roy Jones almost bankrupted the WBC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he almost bankrupted them.
That changed.
Well, look. All I'll say is this. I mean, we could all make a mental. We could just recognize, as the boxing fans, right? As the people that talk about the sport, like we could recognize Josh Taylor's a real 140-pound champion. Like we know that, right? Like does he? In your all's opinion, does he lose that status at all? Does it drop a peg or anything if there's other champions now?
It just looks a little. It just his route of what he's done. It's put him up for critique or criticism a lot, just by the way that he's done stuff. Like I said, he's still solidified in the history books, but I mean, he's taken away a little bit of polish off of himself, to be honest, with the Jack Catterall. And then, then you're supposed to fight. Who was he going to fight? Zepeda, right?
Yeah.
And then he vacates one belt, and then because he was getting married or whatever, and then he decides, then there's someone else that comes along, kind of starts to look like a bit duckish. It looks a bit duckish. It does. And so I don't know.
That's a good point, man.
You see someone like Joshua who fought every single mandatory they told him to fight, and even when Holyfield was champion, he was another guy that never vacated a title. He fought every mandatory as well.
Vladimir Klitschko.
Well, he never fought for the WBC, but he never vacated a title either. But
that's what I mean.
But Josh Taylor earned the right, in my opinion, to be called number 1 because he did become undisputed. But in my own opinion, I still think Regis Prograis is a better fighter than Josh Taylor. I scored the fight for Prograis when they fought. It could have gone either way, but I thought Prograis won that fight. In my opinion, I think Regis Prograis is a better fighter than Josh Taylor. But Josh Taylor has earned the right to be number 1 because of his
absolutely. Well, look, we're nearing. And Frank Sinatra's words, the end is near. We have reached the final curtain. You know what I mean? So this is it. I want to thank everybody that joined. Shout out to Sasha from Women's Fight News. Thank you so much for coming on. Boxing and Basketball, that's the name here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to Sean here, formerly known as a boxing socialist. And Joe Habib, ringside reporter every Sunday. And of course, Lady Chan. What you got going on this week, Lady Chan?
Well, I just had Carlos Takam earlier. Shouts out to Carlos Takam. He'll be fighting Akhmadov on Saturday. So he gets lost in the sauce a little bit because, you know, it's Canelo Triple G. He does acknowledge that. But, you know, Bill's got to be paid and he's got to do what he's got to do. He absolutely called out Deontay Wilder on my show. So check out my news report. The whole interview is only Beeb will be able to see it because he's the only one on this panel that's a member. So shouts out to Beeb.
Oh, I got called out. I got to join quick.
Lady Chan, what's your YouTube channel so I can subscribe?
If you just type in Lady Shan, LadyChaNN, it will come up. My show's called Come Box with Shan, but it's easier just to type in Lady Shan because then it will just come. And I'll subscribe to you in a bit. But then next week as well, let me just tell everybody, join up to be a member because next week we have Ray Mercer next week.
Wow.
On next week Thursday, Ray Mercer is in the building. Also on Wednesday we have Ibn Creason, who is Kubrat Pulev's trainer. So we're having him on the Wednesday as well. And on Monday, we're having Rick Glazer. So we're having quite a stacked week of guests next week. So
nice.
Join me.
Ray Mercer, he called out Wilder.
Yeah.
Ask Ray Mercer about the whole purse controversy with Tommy Morrison.
Yeah. I was watching a bit of that fight. I spoke to him on the phone yesterday. How surreal! Like he called.
Did he tell you about that? Like
we're talking a bit about that
story that he was on. He was on record of saying, they say, why did you pay Tommy Morrison more money than me, and I was the champion? And it was a pretty controversial answer.
Yeah, go ahead and ask him that for sure. Hey, I want to thank you for coming on, Lady Chen. Muchas gracias por venir al canal. All right, there we go. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing, guys. We're out.
Save the queen. God save the queen.
Sí, ya tú sabes.